Alright, so this is going to be a very quick video. I meant to do this yesterday, but didn't have time and kind of forgot, if I'm being completely honest. So I'm not expecting a whole lot of people to watch this, but for the few of you that will watch this, I want to do just very quickly here, just a rundown of the things that I'm watching in tomorrow's Hall of Fame game, as well as throughout the preseason, but more specifically tomorrow night. And, you know, if you're a diehard fan like me, you care about every little part of this team. So just some things that I'm going to watch here. Let's start off offensively. This is not really that big of a deal, but running back 3, obviously it's going to be a lot of probably John Kelly, Demetric Felton, whoever else we have in that room. There's a lot of rumors flying around about the Browns bringing in different guys. So I'm just going to kind of pay attention to that. If anybody struggles greatly, you know, the Browns could look to bring somebody in. I'm not too worried about it, but, you know, that situation is what it is. Second thing offensively, the back half of the wide receiver room. I've talked about this a lot. I'm on the record saying that I believe that Jalen Dawand is going to be the final receiver on this team, but pay attention to that back half of that receiver room, because Baldwin, Dawand, guys like that are going to be fighting for a spot on this team. I think we're keeping 7 receivers. And with Jakeem Grant and the NFL rule changes, I don't think he's going to make the team, because, and the reason why I say Dawand probably will make the team is he's shown flashes. He's been working really hard. He's looked great in camp so far, and so have these other guys, but Dawand can be a kick returner for you. So pay attention to him, especially put a star next to his name. And watch him throughout the course of this preseason, because I think he's going to be one to pay attention to if he makes this team or not. But, you know, there's guys in that back half of that room to pay attention to as well. One guy who's not necessarily in the back half, but I want to pay attention to, is obviously a first round pick, but our first pick in the draft this year, Cedric Tillman. Can't wait to see him on the field. He's looked really good, had a lot of highlights in camp, and just looks apart, and I want to see it on the field, so that's kind of an obvious one. Got to be paying attention to him. And DTR, I hope we get to see Cedric Tillman and DTR play together. We might have to wait for that. Maybe it's going to come versus the Commanders. I'll be there at that game, so it's going to be interesting to see, but Kellen Mond is the starter, which, if you know my opinion on Kellen Mond, I don't care about him at all. He's not a good quarterback. He has absolutely no part in this team's future at all. So I'm not worried about him at all. But it'd be nice to see a little bit of what Cedric Tillman can do. And I'm hoping it's not just kind of a quick thing. I hope we get to see him a little bit throughout the entire game. Who knows? But last 2 things on the offensive side of the ball. Luke Wypler and Dawand Jones. Right? I've said a lot of things about Dawand Jones especially, and how I'm not a big fan of that pick. But hey, it's a preseason. Football's back. Let's throw him out there. Throw him out there, see what he's got. It's not going to be perfect, but trial by fire. You know, you got to play. So I want to see, especially Dawand Jones, and just kind of see how he looks to start. Because that's somebody you're going to want to watch and see how and if he does improve throughout the preseason, because obviously he could potentially step in, especially, and here's another thing to watch, do they play him at all at left tackle? And that's more of a throughout the entire preseason thing, not just tomorrow, but will they play him at all at left tackle? That's going to be interesting. But Luke Wypler, I think he's going to be great. He's going to be fine, but he's just another one to keep your eye on. Let's switch gears here. The defense, what I'm going to be watching. The defensive line rotation, your edges and your defensive tackles. Shelby Harris came in for a visit. I would love us to sign him. But there's going to be a rotation and kind of, it's an open contest right now. And especially with Perion Winfrey being out of that room, who starts, who rotates in, what kind of rotation do they have, especially on the interior of the defensive line. I want to see what some of these guys can do. There's a lot of potential. There's some guys like Maurice Hurst who can be really, really good, has just dealt with injuries. How much is he going to play? Siaki Ika, first time seeing him on the field. I just want to see that rotation. Does anybody stand out? What are we expecting heading into the season? And at the edge, you're going to be looking at Isaiah McGuire, Isaiah Thomas, Alex Wright. And I'm really excited to see Isaiah McGuire because I think he's going to be really, really good for this team. And this is our first time seeing him. So I want to see what that rotation looks like. Does Okoronkwo play? Probably not. Maybe a little bit early. Probably not, though. But we'll see. And, hey, do they move any of those guys on the interior? Because, like I said, now's the time to play around with stuff like that. Would they do that? Linebackers, weak linebacker room. Just want to see what we got there, what they do. Who does anybody stand out? And another thing, and this is kind of one of the bigger things that I'm going to be paying attention to, is how much zone versus man you're going to see from Jim Schwartz. And obviously things will change very much throughout the preseason, throughout the regular season. It's a new defense. You're establishing new things. But how much man versus zone and kind of just the early rough draft, I guess is the right word, for this defense and the secondary especially. How much man versus zone are we going to see? That's something I'm going to be paying attention to. How aggressive is Jim Schwartz? Just kind of getting a feel for his defense with this roster and what he has to work with. And the last thing, these three guys here, Ronnie Hickman, Tanner McAllister, and D'Anthony Bell. I'm going to be watching those three guys very closely. I'm a huge fan of Ronnie Hickman on this team. I think his role is perfect, and what he did at Ohio State, he can bring to Cleveland and do it at an effective level. I've seen it out of him. He's not your typical UDFA guy. It's crazy to me that he went undrafted. I'm glad he did because he's a Brown. And I want to see, kind of like Emerson last year. Obviously, it's different being a third-round pick versus a UDFA. But Emerson really popped in the preseason, if you guys remember. I want to see if any of these three guys, D'Anthony Bell played very well last preseason and played fine. He played pretty good during the regular season when he was asked to come in. So Ronnie Hickman is the guy I really have circled there. Tanner McAllister is not somebody necessarily to sleep on, but with Rodney McLeod coming into that room, I highly doubt that McAllister will be on this team. But who knows? It'll be fun to watch him. But again, put a star next to Ronnie Hickman. I just want to see what that looks like. So with that being said, I'm sure this is probably not going to get a lot of views. I'm going to get this edited out quickly here and get it out tonight. But for those of you who are as big of Browns fans as I am, I wanted to kind of just go over what I'm paying attention to. Because some people, hey, it's the preseason. Not everybody cares, obviously. But some people don't even know what they should be looking for. So I just wanted to do this real fast. Let me know your guys' thoughts. What are you going to be watching out for, I should say. I'm most excited to see DTR, if I'm being completely honest. I'm a huge fan of him. Shout out to DTR. His mom followed me on Twitter. Big fan of DTR. Can't wait to see that. So, that's not a full in-depth, but we're headed on 10 minutes here. I wanted to do this really quick. So, go Browns. We're back. Football is back. We finally made it. Thank God. Let's see what we got to work with heading into the regular season. So, let me know what you think, and we'll see you in the next one. Go Browns.